Remember Carefree gum? Remember that stuff? Carefree gum. Carefree chewing gum. Do you remember that stuff? It was a brand of gum. It was called Carefree. It was. And I don't think I've even tasted it since I was about 5 or 6. So I don't even remember what it tasted like. And I don't even think they have it anymore, because I haven't seen it in stores in years. But it was called Carefree chewing gum. And I don't think I've even tasted it since I was about 5 or 6, so I don't remember what it tasted like, but everybody else says that it tasted like poop. They do. Everybody else said it was disgusting. But anyway, they had some interesting commercials. Back in the late 70s, they used to have some really interesting commercials. So I was probably about 5 or 6 back then. Like there's this one commercial that I'm doing a reaction video to. It's the commercial for Carefree gum. It was from about 1978 or 79. So I would have been about 5 or 6 when it aired. It was from about 1978 or 79. And it was a commercial that featured actors playing the Wright Brothers. And they were advertising Carefree gum. And I want to show you just how ridiculous this commercial was. Because it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous gum commercial. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a gum commercial being ridiculous? You can? How can you imagine that? But anyway, this is the commercial. I'm doing a reaction video to it.
Wilbur and Orville Wright, you've discovered the airplane!
No, you idiot. They didn't discover the airplane. They invented the airplane. The Wright brothers did not discover the airplane. They invented it. The only thing they did discover was some idiot walking around with a voice that sounds like Kermit the Frog saying, "Wilbur and Orville Wright, you discovered the airplane." They didn't discover it. They invented it. I mean, it's not like they were just walking. It's not like they were just walking through the field and they found an airplane sitting there. I mean, they actually took the effort to build the first airplane. So they didn't. It's not like they just found it there and said, "Oh, look, an airplane." But let's move on.
Oh, something really down to earth. Look.
Get it? Down to earth airplane? Down to earth? Get it? You don't get it, do you?
Carefree sugarless gum here. Smaller sticks of Trident here. Both cost the same.
Both cost the same, but neither one are very good.
That Carefree gives you 32% more gum by weight than Trident.
And Carefree tastes delicious.
Right on. But will this plane really fly?
Of course.
So now they're just sitting there talking about gum. So the only thing the Wright brothers really discovered was some guy who just stands around and talks about gum. That's the only thing they discovered. That's the only they didn't they it's not like they yeah, I mean imagine if you invented something and then you're walking around and then some guy just comes up to you and he starts talking about gum. That's the only thing you discovered was the guy talking about gum.
Two rights don't make it wrong.
Get it? Get it? Two rights don't make it wrong. That's a funny one. I think my principal in middle school always used to say that. Or I think he said two wrongs don't make a right. It was the principal. I think I was like in 6th grade or 7th grade. He would say that. He would say two wrongs don't make a right. I got sent to the office once and he said that. Because somebody did something and I did something back and he says, Two wrongs don't make a right. But anyway, here, time for more.
Get great taste with Carefree.
Discover bubblegum, too.
The guy just bubbled. The guy in that commercial just bubbled. He did, using bubble gum. Because they also had a bubblegum flavor, specifically labeled as a kind that you can blow bubbles with. So people bubbled with it. And you notice he sits there and he blows a bubble. And then the guy, one of the Wright brothers, he reaches out and busts it. And we call that, so that's why whenever somebody does that, I call it doing a Wright Brothers. That's what I call it. I call it doing a Wright Brothers because of that. So if somebody blows a bubble and somebody reaches out and pops it, that's what I call it, doing a Wright Brothers. It's because of that commercial. And it's also known as bazookacidal tendencies. That was like on Not Necessarily the News or one of those shows like that. That was actually a term for it. But and the last time I saw somebody doing a Wright Brothers in public, it was I know when it was Riverfest in 2016. I actually saw somebody doing that. Somebody did a Wright Brothers. I saw somebody doing a Wright Brothers at Riverfest in 2016. I mean, somebody bubbled. And somebody reached out and busted it. Just like in this commercial.
Carefree sugarless gum.
Now see, wasn't that ridiculous? Wasn't that a ridiculous commercial? It was, wasn't it? I mean, they don't make them like that anymore. But I remember seeing this commercial all the time when I was about 5 or 6. And it was on the radio too. There's a radio version of this commercial. I remember it was on the car radio in the Plymouth Horizon. My parents had a Plymouth Horizon. I remember it came on the car radio. And I remember we were pulling into the parking lot at the IGA in Fort Thomas, and I remember it was on the radio. I distinctly remember that. I was only about 5 or 6, but I do remember it being on the radio. So, Carefree sugarless bubblegum. That's right. And you could blow bubbles with it. You could blow bubbles with it because they had a bubblegum flavor, or it was a bubblegum. It used the right kind of ingredients that facilitated bubbling and blowing some bubs. So anyway, that's my reaction to the Carefree commercial featuring the Wright brothers.